Someday I'll have a true introduction. Today is not that day. We start off with the kidnapping of a toy maker, Mr. Flanghammer.
Glavisham.
Whatever. He's stolen away by a crippled bat, and you've got to wonder just how much of a fight he really put up. After all, the bat has a peg leg, and that's got to make abducting an adult really hard to do. Regardless, it's clearly traumatizing for the young Olivia, as the musical accompaniment clearly shows. We then switch perspectives to a doctor, Dawson, who shows absolutely no fear of that giant foot inches away from crushing him right now. He comes across the girl crying in a boot, and decides to help her find Basil of Baker Street, a detective.
Well, no, I don't know any Basil. But I do remember where Baker Street is.
When he comes home, Olivia and Dawson try to get his attention, and Basil clearly does not care at all. He's preoccupied with what turns out to be a dead end. Olivia goes to tell Basil that her father is missing.
Surely your mother knows where he is?
I don't have a mother.
Well, don't look so surprised, Basil. It's a Disney movie. That's pretty much a prerequisite. It turns out this might be a link to his nemesis, Ratigan, who's so evil the smile of his portrait grows at the mere mention of his name.
The nefarious Professor Ratigan.
We then cut to Flancaster.
Glavisham.
Whatever. He has indeed been brought to Ratigan to make the twitchiest robot you will ever see. Full plan coming later, of course. This is a mystery after all, and we can't have it revealed too early. Ratigan sends the bat, Fidget, on another errand to collect things, the girl being one of them.
Here's the list. You know what to do and no mistakes.
Ratigan and his other thugs sing a song about how Ratigan is the best criminal in the world.
Ratigan, to Ratigan, the world's greatest criminal mind.
I don't really like it as a song, but the scene is still awesome. He chews scenery, he develops the established rivalry with Basil, and he stops halfway through to have a guy killed.
You know what happens when someone upsets me.
If your favorite Disney villains didn't stop their anthem to kill a guy, they gotta step up their game. Scar is a house cat compared to this guy. I mean, that's not saying much, because a house cat will still hunt rats on the daily, but it's still true. There's about 5 minutes with little significance before everyone takes a ride on a dog to investigate. After looking around a human-sized toy shop, they find that someone has stolen uniforms from some soldiers, and the gears from other toys. And for the third time, we get to see Fidget's ugly mug. And it's at about this time when the jump scares are starting to get a bit too routine. In Basil and Dawson's pursuit of Fidget, we get some classic cartoon antics, and Fidget manages to escape. Here is actually one of my favorite little touches. His gloating is actually the same tune as the main theme of the film.
I got the keys, I got the tools, I got the uniforms, I got the girl.
It's a really tiny detail, but this is kind of great, and it shows that they put a lot of effort into making it. Basil and Dawson have Fidget's list. However, they retire back to Baker Street to investigate further. Back to Ratigan, he shows up to threaten Flavor Flav again.
Glavisham.
Whatever, this time with his daughter as leverage. Fidget tells Ratigan that Basil is on the case, and that he lost the list. And he takes it rather well. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe he's not a villain cut out enough to... Okay, I take it back. Still just as deranged as I thought. He gets an idea, however, and he calls off the kitty. Back with our heroes, Basil is doing some sciencey stuff. There's some clearly exaggerated procedure, but all of his reasoning is quite nice, and I like how they show him going through all the steps instead of just presenting us with the answer.
Rodent's Delight. A cheap brand is sold only in the seediest pubs.
Coal dust.
clearly of the type used in sewer lamps. It proves beyond a doubt. This list came from the riverfront area.
That answer, by the way, happens to be a seedy bar by the riverfront. Before we enter the bar, I want to remind you of something. The PG-13 rating debuted in 1984, 2 years before this movie came out. This was so that the PG rating might actually mean something. Regardless, this movie was rated G for general audiences. Just keep that in mind as we go forward. So we enter the bar, and there's typical shady bar stuff. Some entertainment, a lot of drunks, people playing cards, someone harassing the waitress, and a waitress who's not having any of that shit. It's good that nobody's suspicious of these two, so Basil asks the waitress if she's heard of Ratigan.
I never heard of him.
Yup, seems legit to me. So, bored of the previous entertainment, the patrons get a bit angry. That is until this girl takes the stage. Everyone is instantly enthralled by her. And that's before she starts singing about letting her be good to you and taking off all her blues.
There's nothing I won't do just for you.
Disney gets a lot of talk about how they have subtle sexual messages in their movies. I always have to laugh at those. Did you know there's a joke about big feet in Frozen? You know what they really mean, right? If anyone was really paying attention, back in 1986, Disney straight up included a cabaret striptease. I am not fazed by foot size. While that's all happening, Dawson downs a drugged drink, and Fidget shows up. A bar fight breaks out, and the only 3 people we care about are the only 3 not involved. Our heroes follow the oh-so-casually leaving Fidget. It leads them outside Ratigan's lair. Should be easy enough to call the authorities and let them take care of it, right? Nope, they decided to wander into a very well-planned surprise party. And side note, Basil's insult game is on point.
Ratigan, no one can have a higher opinion of you than I have. And I think you're a slimy, contemptible sewer rat.
Ratigan ties them up in the Rube Goldberg machine of gratuitous overkill, patent pending. The best part about that, however, is how he records a song that the two are forced to listen to while they're waiting to die.
So although it hurts, try to smile as I say goodbye so soon. And isn't this?
The egomania is absolutely incredible. I thought I had seen it all, but this guy is the only one who leaves his trash mixtape to play for his nemesis before killing him. Well, this being G-rated, nobody dies. Instead, Basil escapes looking casual like the goddamn mastermind of a mouse that he is.
Thank you, Dawson. Smile, everyone.
Absolutely iconic. Back to Ratigan, it's come time for him to seize control with the clockwork robot, the most intimidating of weapons.
Guards, seize this
Despicable creature!
He springs his evil plot and is busy being over-the-top sinister and all that. It's what we've come to expect from him. Attempting a coup, some regicide, you know, the works. After Basil takes control of the robot, he learns a quick and brutal lesson about consent to the governed before running away with Fidget and a hostage. Basil follows him, along with Dawson and Flavor Blasted.
Flavisham!
Whatever, and Ratigan tosses Fidget out.
Oh, you want to lighten the load. Excellent idea.
Basically just a bunch of shenanigans. And then they crash into the clock tower. And there things get serious. Everything about this scene is just oozing atmosphere. The incredible slow build of the music, the rhythmic and echoing grinding of the mechanism. And the only visuals being the characters, the gears, and the inside of the illuminated clock face. Even as they make it outside, the scene shifts, but it maintains its high quality. There's sheets of rain coming down, and Ratigan releases his previous masquerade of civility and becomes absolutely brutal.
There's no escape this time, Basil.
In the end, the movie pretends that they both die, but Basil lives, of course. Obligatory ending scenes, and the movie's over. So, this is actually surprisingly good. I mean, let's start with the plot. This evil mastermind kidnaps a toy maker to make a shoddy imitation of a queen to pass off power to him. Yeah, it's sketchy at best, so this movie was set up for failure right off the bat. For a mystery, there is surprisingly little mystery. The interesting thing is trying to find out Ratigan's plot. But that's not even terribly important because catching him means stopping whatever it could be in the first place. The plot is bad, plain and simple, but there is such good decisions made outside of the plot that I don't find myself caring about that whatsoever. The visuals range from average to incredible, and the audio does the same. But what's best about this is the rivalry between Basil and Ratigan. They just play off each other so well. They show such respect for each other as their competitive equal but moral opposite. And what makes it all that much better is that they aren't even in the same scene until nearly 50 minutes into the film. So much of their relationship development is through monologue to other characters, but it still feels so genuine. It's great how they're both totally obsessed with themselves, but one is with his intellect.
Actually, it's elementary, my dear Dawson.
And the other is with his power.
I have the power!
Basil is smart, but the good thing about that is that it doesn't just say that he's smart, then have him know things. It clearly shows his reasoning when he does it, and has him talking to us the entire time that he's doing it. Ratigan isn't as interesting, but he is performed flawlessly, and I always love a playful villain. You know, the kind that ambushes his nemesis with an unfurled banner that says, "Welcome, Basil," on it alongside balloons and confetti. The sidecast isn't all that interesting, but they're not really a drag either. They're just kind of there out of obligation. Props on the design of Fidget, however, just for diversity's sake, being a bat among a bunch of mice. The best thing aside from Basil and Ratigan are just individual moments throughout the film. There are some parts of it that make the rest of the movie look like filler, when it really is not filler. The escape is legendary. The clock tower is ominous. And the cabaret striptease is so... well, it's a cabaret striptease, draw your own conclusions. Next time, I'm going to be talking about justice.